So Albuquerque Business First, or the Business Journal First Journal, it's nationwide. This was a nationwide story, but it said homes are staying on the market longer, but there's a big catch. Well, guess what the catch is?
Tell me.
Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 582, mid-May 2026. It is Tracy and Tego Venturi of the Venturi Group, real broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as always, talking about what's going on with real estate in the Albuquerque area and around the country and all kinds of goodies. I've got a lot of stats. We're gonna do some stats this week, Tracy. I've got a this or that or would you rather that we can do. You got one for me and I have one for you.
I do. I have two for you.
Oh, you have two for me. Okay.
This or that. Tego, I feel like the feet on the street. I've been meeting with so many sellers and so many buyers in the last week since we last recorded our podcast. And it's exciting, helping people with home ownership or moving on to their next chapter if they're selling. It's exciting, but it's stressful. And being a seller right now, it's hard. We don't know if a house we put on the market is going to sell in one day or in 2 months, right? The market tells us, and we look at all your stats and we digest everything and we put the best plan in place. And then we see what happens.
Well, I had that conversation with somebody the other day who's a seller, homeowner, trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, well, what's the days on market? I'm like, well, average is, 35 days, but average is average. And I said, median's like 14, 15, I think 16 days is what median days on market is right now. And
median versus average, right? Those are hugely different numbers.
Well, right. But, median, I like to look at median, but more than average, because to me, median is like, okay, that means half the homes are selling within that time period. And when we say selling, we're talking about from when it goes active on the market till it goes pending, in
under contract,
yes. Pending, due diligence period, whatever you want to call it.
That means half of them are longer than that.
Correct. Well, and that
or still on the market.
And so actually that was one of my stories. So Albuquerque Business First, or the Business Journal First Journal, it's nationwide. This was a nationwide story, but it said homes are staying on the market longer, but there's a big catch. Well, guess what the catch is?
Tell me.
Well, the catch is some homes are still selling relatively quickly, right? As we speak, you're dealing with a multi-offer situation on a property, right? You're waiting for a phone call as we're recording.
I said, if my phone rings, I'm out.
Yeah. So it's yes, homes are staying on the market longer, but in April, average days on market was like 38 days. Median days on market was like 16 days. That means that half the homes are selling within 2 weeks. So to say that homes are staying on the market longer is kind of a misnomer. What's happening is the homes that maybe aren't as great, and if you read into this story, that's basically what they're saying, is you read into this story and it's saying that half the homes are, let me take that off the screen, that there's this whole group of homes that are selling relatively quick, that are in great condition, move-in ready, good repair, no deferred maintenance, and priced correctly to the market, and they're still turning over relatively quickly. But then there's this whole other group of homes that are kind of out there that aren't the cream of the crop, and they're taking longer to sell.
Oh my gosh, don't say that, because we have listed homes that I think are the cream of the crop that are taking longer to sell than I would expect. Homes in great neighborhoods, great school districts, great condition, that aren't getting as much attention as I thought they would be getting at this time of year. But what I've seen is, in the last 2 weeks, as the feet on the street.
Yes.
2 houses, single story, under 400, just barely under 400, multiple offers. Single story, 3-bed or 4-bed. One was a 4, one was a 3, multiple offers under 400,000, different parts of town.
Do you think single story is something that's important for a lot of people? Does that seem more and more? We've kind of always seen that single story price per square foot is higher than like a 2-story, especially in the production type neighborhoods. Do you think there's more demand now than there has been? Is anything changed?
No, I think single story is still hugely in demand, but I think people with young families are still looking for 2-story with the kids not kids' bedrooms not on the main floor. They don't want the kids to get out at night when they don't know it, right?
Yeah.
Even little kids,
Yep.
not just saying teenagers getting out at night.
Yeah.
But they don't want to be upstairs and have the kids downstairs.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I feel like a lot of families are doing 2 stories, but single story is in demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it always has been in our market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course,
I've got,
price matters too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Okay, I've got a stat for you. I'm going to jump over to our new website that I keep improving all the time.
REABQ.com, which is for real estate.
R,
RE, not the one I was waiting on.
okay, REABQ.com, and that is where I've got a bunch of different good market data, all different ways to look at it. I've got monthly, I've got weekly, so you can see like real-time trends going on. But the one I wanted to talk about was the home value trends, because this is like the headline, which is home values in the greater Albuquerque area hit an all-time high in April of 2026.
And we just need to remind our regular listeners know what this is, that this is all homes, not homes for sale or sold. This is all homes as they exist. Zillow has a value on every home in America.
Correct. So it's a Zillow home value index, and they basically take everything in a market and come up with an aggregate number of what the typical home value is. And for Albuquerque in April, it was 349,292, which is the highest reading we've ever seen. Now, the caveat to that was it's only about $500 more than a year ago in July, and it's only up 1% year over year.
But Tego, we're not down.
But we're not down. And if people get their, real estate econ news from social media, they're probably only seeing, I've got a perfect segue. They're probably only seeing
Yep, you have something else to show us.
stuff like this. Let me pull it up. Okay.
Okay, so tell us what the image is. Not everybody's on our website or
So
YouTube.
this was Realtor.com, which is, a home search website, which is a company not owned by the Realtor Association. They just brand the name.
They're a media company.
They're a media company. They're the same company that owns like Wall Street Journal and other media companies. But anyway,
So they need eyeballs on their stuff.
they need eyeballs on their stuff. So what they've got up here is an image that shows a photo of like an aerial shot of a neighborhood, and it's got foreclosure,
On top of the rooftops.
on top of the rooftop of all these homes. And the headline is U.S. foreclosure filings up 18%. It says Delaware, South Carolina, Florida top the list. Now, what's wrong with just saying foreclosure filings are up 18%? And if you don't know the answer to that, you really got to go and think about that.
The answer is very simple for the people who are regular listeners,
Yeah.
Tego, because we've pointed it out before
Yes,
many times.
it's up 18%
From
like
nothing.
an all-time low. Like we are, and it makes me sad because somebody will see this and they think this is the state of the housing market, that half of the homes based on this image are in foreclosure right now.
Okay, so
And in New Mexico, let me just say, it's less than 1% of all properties with a mortgage, and remember, only about 60% of the homes have a mortgage, are in foreclosure in the Albuquerque area.
so it's less than 1 in 100 in our market because only 60% even have a mortgage
1 in 100 of the homes that have
of the homes.
right.
A mortgage.
So it's actually even less.
Not, it's not even a half a
It's an
percent.
insignificant number, and it's still lower than any time pre-pandemic.
So not long ago, I did a search in our MLS to try to find some bank-owned houses because somebody said, I really
Oh.
want to buy a bank-owned house.
Good luck.
And there were hardly any, right?
Right.
It just, there weren't a bunch to choose from. We did have one client put an offer in on a bank-owned house this year that I can remember. But speaking of that, Tego, we're going to be in Florida soon. If they're really all over Florida, we should be buying a house there out of foreclosure.
Yeah, I don't think there are any, but
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Can we go to one of my, what did
Yes.
you call it? Not this or that?
this or that, or would you rather?
Would you rather? Okay, I've got 2 for you today.
What fits better?
I don't
This
know.
or that, or would you
I'm
rather?
just going to say it.
Okay.
I don't need a headline. Would you rather have a nosy, constantly gossipy neighbor who throws the best block parties, or completely silent, invisible neighbors who never speak to you?
Oh my God. Well, you know the answer for me.
Tell me. I don't know.
It's absolutely number two. Just
Is it
Oh
really?
yeah, for sure.
See, I did not know that.
Oh,
I
oh,
would, I see me, I'd rather choose the gossipy, nosy neighbor who's in the middle of the neighborhood who throws great parties. So I know all my neighbors
okay.
because we actually have that.
Well, that's why you and I balance each other out well.
We have a home in the Phoenix area because we have a lot of relatives there and we get there occasionally to actually enjoy it and see all the family. But the neighbor there is this and knows everybody and helps us out a lot because we don't have eyes on our house.
And you talk to her and I don't.
And I talk to her and you don't. But she's been very helpful and she knows somebody for everything. She's like our real estate team. Actually, she is a realtor over there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate her,
Well,
even though sometimes
Well, it's interesting, it's that whole thing. You don't get to choose your family and you don't get to choose your neighbors.
no. And if you think you're choosing your neighbors, guess again.
Yeah, you may not
Okay,
be.
that was sort of a
that
interesting one because you were positive I knew your answer, which I was
yeah.
not. Okay, I have one more.
Okay.
Would you rather have a stunning ocean or mountain view with a tiny cramped yard or a massive park-like private backyard without a view?
Wow. That's tough because you and I have lived in the same house for 25 years without a mountain view, but a really nice yard looking at the bosque.
Right.
And we've loved it. But yet, boy, that's a tough one. It would depend on the property for me.
Yeah. I knew this one would be hard because there's nothing like looking out at water, whether it's a lake, a
Right.
mountain, or an ocean.
Mhm.
But then what we have, and it's very private, and we back to the ditches and the trails, but without a view.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's one of the
It's
trade-offs
up
in
to the
Albuquerque, right?
where it is and what it is, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think the main thing in Albuquerque is that you have good outdoor living space that's shaded that you can enjoy, almost, 3 seasons, which is one of the great things about our market.
You can enjoy it 4 seasons
Yeah.
too. In the afternoon, in the winters, if you have a spot that's in the sun, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one for you.
Oh, okay.
This is more like if you're selling your home and it's, would you rather be the seller who accepts the highest offer or the seller who accepts the offer most likely to close?
Oh, I know the answer to this. If I'm a seller, I want to know that it's going to close because I'm packing up my life. I'm downsizing, I'm giving stuff away, I'm packed, my house is ready, and if it doesn't close, it's awful.
How much does that, how much is that
It's
worth?
worth money to me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably worth $10,000 to me at least. I mean,
That's a lot of
to
money.
take a
That's
different
a lot of money.
Okay, I guess it depends on the price of the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
But I guess I would much rather feel very confident that it's going to close. And actually, I was negotiating an offer this week, Tego. And one of the things, the other realtor did a great job, called me and said, what's going to be important to your client? Because I know we're going to be in a multiple offer situation after looking at this home. And I said, non-refundable independent consideration will be really important to them.
Option money. Yeah.
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 We
Basically,
want
paying the-
non-refundable money that goes directly to the seller.
Yeah. Paying the seller to take the home off the market and disrupt their life and turn it upside down and let them start moving and packing. Yep. For sure.
And we did get multiple offers, and every offer had independent consideration, but none of them like a large amount. All of them just, kind of a token independent consideration.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a perfect segue. My question about accept the highest offer or accept the most likely to close. So what I did, I look at this every once in a while, but I finally graphed it out. And what we're looking at is greater Albuquerque area. We're looking at pending fallout rate. So this is the percentage of homes that were in pending or under contract divided by the number of homes in pending each month. And what we find, it's somewhere around, historically, it's been around 16%. If you look at the whole trend, so that means 16% of the homes fall out.
Yeah.
And
Meaning they go back on market. For some reason, the buyer didn't close on it.
well, in the reasons,
Oh,
what do you think the
you
top reason
you
is?
analyze the reasons? I would say the top reason is inspections, and I would say number 2 is financing.
Yeah. Yep.
And what is it?
Of course, you're right. Of course, you're right.
Of
So it's
course.
and I've got a chart for that. Let me pull it up. Actually, Redfin did a survey a few years ago that actually asked that question to realtors. Let me show this here. So what it's saying is the most common reason for deals to fall through is home inspections or repair issues. No surprise there. Now this particular chart, if you look at the percentages, it's more than 100%. So it was a multi-select, so they could
Right.
have select
They could
multiple
have selected
reasons.
many.
Yep.
So this was from September of 25, this data.
Yeah, so it's
And
not that long. Yeah, just
interesting that
yeah.
of all the people that were surveyed, 70% said home inspection or repair issues.
Yeah, no surprise there. Buyer financing fell through. And just to give you an idea, that means that inspections, 12 out of 100 pendings fall out because of inspections.
Just 12? I would have
Well,
done if it's an average of 16%, wouldn't it be 16 out of 100?
no, it was no. That's not how the math works on that. Yeah. So the
That
the,
was
the
very
thing that was
kind.
interesting about this is you've got a couple different categories here. Buyer financing fell through, buyers unable to sell their current home. So that
Which
would
are
be
sort of could be the same.
kind of, yeah, they kind of
Because
go
if their
hand in
financing fell through, it
right.
might be because they had to sell their home first.
Change in buyer's financial situation. Again, that kind of is in that category. Buyer found another property they liked better. That's
We
interesting.
have seen that before where we're under contract with somebody and they say, "Hey, this house just came on the market. I really want to see it." And you're like, "Ah, okay, let's go."
Yeah, and they're if they've got an independent consideration, they're going to lose that money. I mean, that's part of the deal. Concerns
Oh,
about the
and maybe
economic
other.
climate. That's interesting. Seller backed out. I thought that was interesting. Now they're saying,
Seller backed out. That is unusual.
I mean, you think about the thousands of deals we've been involved in over the years, Tracy. I can't think of maybe a handful where the seller just changed their mind.
I can think of one on Ortega,
I can
not
think of
Ortega.
I can think of one. I mean,
I can think
years
of
and
one.
years and years ago. But yeah, I mean, in the end, the seller had to pay restitution to the buyer.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe was worded differently. Seller backed out. Maybe home inspections, they agreed to not agree,
Yeah.
and they were thinking of it differently because we don't
Yep.
see sellers backing out.
Yeah. Low appraisal is only 8%, which is interesting. You're dealing with that right now.
Yep.
And insurance, high mortgage rates. So yeah, it was interesting. I mean, no doubt about it. It really comes down to inspections is usually what happens. A couple things I think happen there, Tracy, is one, buyer gets a home under contract. They love it. They're excited. They're all pumped up. First off, they get that first wave of buyer's remorse, right?
Right.
And they go, oh, did we make a bad choice? And then they're not sure. Then they get the inspection and they're like, oh no, the home's in awful, they're this. So, I mean, part of it is managing the emotions of it for the buyer, right?
Yeah. Well, think about how few times in your life you go through the buying process. And like I've said on our show before, Tego, I have buyer's remorse when I buy a pair of shoes or whatever, right? Buying a house, I'm sure that a lot of people go through a lot of second guessing.
Yeah.
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 And then, like you said, and then they get the inspection report. And if you don't know that some of the things that an inspector says sound really scary, but they're actually very minimal, like reverse polarity on this electrical outlet or something.
Sure.
It sounds terrible, but it's a pretty minor fixable thing, right?
Correct.
But when you don't go through it every day, it's scary.
Yeah. So let me pull this chart up because I found this interesting too. So this is, I'm going to share this one. So this is that same data. What we're looking at is the annual fall through rate from 2010 and through until 2026. And on this chart here, we have attached and detached. The thing that I found interesting is that the attached, so that'd be condos and townhomes, pretty consistently, the fall through rate is much higher on the attached properties than the detached properties.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I found that interesting, like, 2, 3, 4, 5% more consistently over the years.
What do you think?
I'm
I have
not
ideas. I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't seen this chart before, but
What do you think?
I think
Let me pull it
maybe
back up.
people get into an attached property like a condo, and they haven't really fully thought about what a condo fee is and what condo fees cover. And, kind of maybe get overwhelmed with the rules and regulations of condos.
Could be.
And they
Yeah.
hadn't really thought through it or realized it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair take.
I
One
don't
thing I
know.
did notice, I didn't find a great correlation, but was by price range. There seemed to be more fall through rate at the lower price points.
Mm.
And so I don't know if that's a condition thing just because they're lower price points, but
Or if it's a
condo,
financials that people in higher prices can afford to fix a few more things.
yeah, I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure. I don't know either. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting.
Okay, are you
Okay.
going to show this chart?
I'm going to show this chart. I'm going to make people's eyes go crossed. So I was having a conversation with a homeowner the other day, and he's trying to figure out when he wants to put his home on the market, when he wants to sell. So it's this whole conversation of what's the best time of year to sell your home,
Yep.
right? And he called me and asked me that question, or yeah. And I'm like,
This was like
"Y-
that hour-long call.
yeah, it's like, okay, you called the right person because this is what I do.
That's what I thought when I heard the beginnings of that conversation and
I was
walked
like,
out.
trying not to be too, but it was interesting because somebody he had talked to another realtor and that told him that the best time is fall, September, October. I was trying to be nice, and I said, you know what? That's just not. That's just not.
Statistically not
I said that's
correct.
just not correct. So what we see in the Albuquerque market, and this is going back all the way to 1999. If you're looking at this chart, the red colors mean that the home prices appreciated from the previous month. The blue colors mean that they depreciated from the previous month. And
And
this is
white is
and
kind
white
of
is flat.
stable,
Yeah,
flat.
white is flat. And what we see is we see prices continually to go up month to month to month through July, August, sometimes into September, but usually it peaks out, in August or September as home values. And then it starts to pull back October, November, December, January, and then it, kind of spins up again starting in March.
So I'm assuming, and you can tell me if this is
Let me
based
pull
on
this up.
sold prices or based on,
This is the Zillow Home Value Index, so it's it's
okay,
all
all
it's
homes
home
values.
values. Yes.
So I'm looking at 2025, and it's a bit of an abnormal year in that things started turning blue in August.
Yeah.
Going down in value August, September, October, November, December, January was sort of flat.
Yep.
And it started warming up in 2025 in March, which is what
Right.
we normally tell people.
Yep.
But it really only went through May, and then it was flat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And it feels that way this year. I would expect
it
the
does.
chart.
Yeah, I expect we'll peak out somewhere here in the next
Couple
2-3
weeks.
months. It probably will keep going up into September. At least, actually based on the activity we're seeing out there and the fact that we don't have this big surge of listings, it's always supply and demand, is that, demand is pretty steady and supply is still pretty weak. So I, I, I don't expect runaway, home price appreciation, but I still, expect some moderate appreciation this year. And it's just a matter of, when will a seasonal slowdown start? And everything could change if interest rates change, but that doesn't look likely right now either. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Trying to time the market is tough, and that's ended what tell me what you think. This is what I told this homeowner. I said, timing the market's fine. You can do all that. Yes, there's more activity in the spring, summer, less activity in the fall, winter. A home sell year round. Yeah, is it maybe a little bit more in the summer? Yes, but it's more important to have the home cleaned, staged, deferred maintenance taken care of, good marketing strategy, marketing plan, all that stuff to hit the market right. That's that's going to make so much more difference in what you net from your sale than saying, okay, do I put it on in May or do I put it on in August?
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah. It's kind of a different topic, but the same. So I was actually talking to a potential home seller, and they have a unique property. It's a live work. And I was saying, I'm not really sure. That might be less seasonal. A live work is such a specialty property. And we don't have a lot of live work
No.
here. And so, anyway, I was just thinking, timing is more of when you're ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And when you and the house or property are ready.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And, we're plugging along. That's what I said on my post, my weekly video I did. Just, Albuquerque's just chugging along, 1% appreciation in the last year. And, we're probably somewhere in that 1 or 2%. Okay. One last thing. I used to be really engaged in this whole conversation about housing affordability and how do we build more houses and dot, 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 dot. And one of my things that I've concluded is there just is no silver bullet to the housing affordability, right? We did the ADU things where we said, okay, you can build an ADU, but those cost $200,000. Who can actually afford to put that in their backyard, right? We've had all these battles about upzoning and downzoning and stuff like that, and it just, we've got the NIMBYs against the YIMBYs and all this, and I think the only way we get back to housing affordability is this slow grind of real slow market appreciation, which we've been seeing now for a couple, almost 3 years, and wages increasing, which is a slow grind also, and eventually interest rates coming down, which again, who knows when that's going to happen. So I just don't see any silver bullet about, housing affordability and there's going to be this one thing that fixes it. That's why I would get so frustrated about the argument about, oh, the institutional investors are buying all the homes because, okay, you wipe out, 3 out of 1,000 home sales, which of course none have happened in the last couple 3 years. So there is no silver bullet. And I just, I think it's just going to be this slow grind until we get back to something a little more reasonable on the affordability side.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Tego, we are one of the top teams in New Mexico. We have great realtors on our team, in addition to us, that help buyers, help people sell homes, help with investment properties. We have cash buyer options. We have all sorts of different lending programs that we work with different lenders that have great options. So if you're interested in buying, selling, investing, whatever in real estate, give us a ring. It's the easiest way to reach out. Pick up the phone or text us.
Yeah.
Our number is 505-448-8888. And we look forward to hearing from you, and have a great Memorial weekend.
That's right. We got a
And
holiday
Tego's
3-day weekend.
birthday.
Yeah, my birthday.
And we're going to be off buying a house in Florida because there's
No,
so
we're
many
not.
foreclosures there.
There's not.
Poor my husband. Harassing you like that. All right, we're out. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. We appreciate you. And please click subscribe. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with real estate in the Albuquerque area and New Mexico, and of course, across the entire country. Have a great one.